For Banff Airdrie.
Well, thanks, Madam Speaker. It's a pleasure to be able to rise on this bill today. Obviously, as no surprise to anyone in this House, based on my promotion of it, my constant promotion of it, but also, of course, the name of my riding. That with Banff National Park in my riding, I'm one of the proudest promoters of our national park system and proudest supporters of it.
Hear, hear.
And certainly, am pleased to have seen through the work of previous government and others, the Rouge National Urban Park, which would be Canada's obviously first urban national park. Pleased to see that will provide those opportunities for those in the GTA to be able to experience our national parks through that one that's in such close proximity, but also I hope to catch that bug and then, of course, want to experience our other national parks. And what better place than the first and greatest national park in our country in Banff National Park. And so I certainly believe it'll be something that'll be a great promoter of that. In fact, I know that the previous superintendent at Banff National Park was moved into Rouge and has become the superintendent there. And so she has brought that great experience from Banff with her to that job, and so we encourage and congratulate Pam Vino in that. So, as much as I'm a big supporter of the idea of Rouge National Urban Park, I do want to bring forward, because I am an opposition member. People would say that means my job is to oppose. I would actually say that no, I would actually disagree with that slightly. I would say that means my job is to try to ensure that we give the government the opportunity to improve and sharpen and show them ways that they can do better and ways that they can accomplish better things. And if they choose not to pick those up, then of course we're able to show those to Canadians as a way that they can choose something that will do better. And then if all else fails, our job is to oppose. And in that vein, what I want to do is point out the area of concern that I do have in this bill, and I'll spend some time on why that should be a concern, and offer that opportunity to the government to do better, to provide a better balance in terms of their thinking. And the section that I am concerned with is talking about ecological integrity and saying that it must be of the utmost importance and sort of taken above all of the other important parts of their mandate for Parks Canada. And I mean, when we talk about their mandate is obviously to promote ecological integrity, but it's also to promote the idea of visitor experience, visitor opportunities, and so in those things, they're important that they all go together. And when you see a part of a bill that says the maintenance or restoration of ecological integrity must be the first priority of the minister when considering all aspects of the management of the park, that would indicate that means they have all intention of putting that part of the mandate as the prime and sole focus. And what that would mean is forgetting about the fact that parks are there for enjoyment and use. People will point out, and I would be the first among them, that it's important that enjoyment and use be there for both the current and future generations. And that's part of the reason why ecological integrity is also important. But we have to be clear, those things all have to be done together in unison. They have to be considered as a package. They can't be considered, and you can't come out and say, this one must be the first and only priority. Because without the opportunity for people to enjoy parks, they aren't able to meet their fullest and most greatest use. I actually was at a speech recently given by Rex Murphy in Banff at the annual gala for the Association for Mountain Parks Protection and Enjoyment. And I'm going to speak about them in a little bit because I think they have a great role to play in this and ensuring that this balance is there. And they have some great suggestions, and that's what I'll offer to this government in terms of suggestions. But I was at this gala, and Rex Murphy made a great speech where he talked about the importance of parks But he talked about them in terms of the importance of, and I'm going to paraphrase all of his speech into one little short comment, and it was essentially what his point was this, that parks need people as much as people need parks. And there's no question about both those statements in my mind. People do need parks. It's somewhere where we can reconnect with nature. It's somewhere where we can enjoy time and spend time with our families. It's where we can, enjoy the great outdoors. Discover, a part of our soul that sometimes, we get so busy with the day-to-day life that sometimes we forget to just reconnect with ourselves even. And through nature, we can find those opportunities. But it's also important for parks to have people, because without people to enjoy them, they aren't serving their greatest purpose. And so that's why it's so important to find that balance. Now, what I want to do, I guess, is delve into sort of the last time that we saw these kinds of statements, and coincidentally enough, the last time we had a Liberal government. And that was back in the 90s. In 1994, the minister responsible for Parks Canada at the time was Sheila Copps. Well, if you say that name in Banff National Park today, people still curl up into a fetal position because they're wondering what's coming next. How are they going to be hit? How is their community, their interests, the interests of the tourism industry going to be damaged next? And it was all based around this same principle. So what I'm saying, Madam Speaker, is this is a movie that the people in Banff have seen before. And they don't like the way that it ends. And they're seeing already in the last year of this Liberal government, the start of a sequel looks very much like the original movie. And they're quite concerned about the ending. Is it going to be the same as last time? And there's all kinds of signs that might be the case. But I want to give the opportunity for this government to hear some of those concerns today. And maybe they'll take up some of those concerns and see if there's ways they can do better and improve. That's certainly my hope. So when we look back at that time, when Sheila Copps was the minister in the previous Liberal government, they undertook what was called the Banff Bow Valley Study. And it had a whole series of recommendations in it. And not all of them were taken up, but certainly many were. And at that time, it really was a topic that you couldn't be in Banff without hearing about this topic. It was on the minds of everybody, and they were concerned. They were definitely concerned. And I want to just talk about some of the issues that were raised at that time. It really, I guess, halted or significantly delayed the ability for a number of projects to proceed, things that would help to improve the visitor experience, the opportunity for tourism to flourish, the opportunity for visitors to be able to best enjoy the areas. Things like improvements at ski hills. The biggest one was the twinning of the Trans-Canada Highway between Castle Junction and Sunshine. Now, something that it took our government to come into place. We were able to see the twinning of that highway, which was so vitally important for human and wildlife safety, completed. That was something that we were able to accomplish because of our balanced approach in terms of ensuring all the different parts of the mandate. But at that time, it was something that really was on hold. And, people, unfortunately, it took deaths along the highway for there to be at least some waking up on the part of the Liberal Party at that time. And we were able to come into office and see that project finished. And I think that when people look back at that time and the concerns that were developed as a result of this focus, this sole focus that they're talking about in this bill, being only on the ecological integrity and not about the ability for the visitors to experience and enjoy, I think about all of the things that were accomplished. in the last 10 years while there was a Conservative government. And I wonder, would any of those things be able to be accomplished today with this kind of a move? I mean, I think about one of the things that I think would be most important to mention would be the Legacy Trail, Madam Speaker. The Legacy Trail, which is a well, it's a multi-use, but mainly a cycling trail that leads from Canmore to Banff. I can tell you this is an incredibly popular trail, and it is something that I wonder under this current government. You know, when you look at their talk about limiting development in national parks, would that have been able to proceed? Well, I suppose one of the answers might be in the fact that last summer, prior to the election, there was an announcement of a lot of great projects that were very warmly received by the people of Banff and by the visitors that experienced Banff. And one of them was the ability to be able to widen shoulders on the Bow Valley Parkway, which goes between Banff and Lake Louise. So it gave cyclists that route. They were able to follow the trail, the Legacy Trail from Canmore to Banff. They then would have a safer route they could follow from Banff to Lake Louise. And this government came in, and what did they do? They canceled that. And cyclists that were so greatly pleased about the opportunity to improve their safety, you know, lost that opportunity. And those are the kinds of things that we're seeing. On top of that, though, I want to, with the time that I have remaining, discuss, I think, what's the biggest issue on the minds of those in Banff right now, people in Banff that are seeking to make their livelihoods through tourism. I mean, I should point out to all members of this House, because some may not be aware, that for Banff, tourism is the economy. It's not a part of the economy. It's not even a large part of the economy. It is the economy of Banff. And it's what employs almost everybody in that community. It's what creates hundreds and hundreds of businesses for the people in that area to be able to thrive and succeed. And it's what enables the approximately 4 million visitors that are received in Banff each year to have the greatest experiences that they can have. They, of course, come to enjoy the national park, but we have to also provide them the experiences. We have to provide them their lodging. We have to provide them their places to eat, and all of the other opportunities that a guest looks to see in a tourism experience. And that's what the people of Banff do. That is their livelihood. That is the livelihood of the entire community. And when you start to talk about things that will lessen the ability to develop, lessen the ability to make improvements to their products or their offerings because of their leaseholds, you talk about harming their opportunity to make a livelihood. You talk about harming the ability of visitors to have a great experience. Now, I have no doubt, because I have great faith in the people, the business owners, the employees, those that serve our tourism industry and serve our tourists, that we'll continue to have those great experiences no matter what this Liberal government does. But I will point out that there is some concerns right now in terms of the ability to take in vehicle traffic. The Mayor of Banff, and I've spoken to her as recently as today, has certainly concerns on behalf of the community about the ability for, we're really at a capacity for vehicle traffic, and there's a need for solutions. And I'm just going to kind of quote from the Mayor some of the concerns. You know, we're welcoming and opening to more and more visitors in Banff, but the idea of being at a capacity for vehicle traffic, and so the Mayor has raised some of these concerns on behalf of the people. This was at a council meeting in October, and I'm going to just quote from her. I'm deeply disappointed that Parks Canada has not come to the table on offering ideas in partnership with us to manage this high probability of increases in traffic in 2017. At the end of the day, the World Heritage Site and Banff National Park are the draw, and we are here to service those visitors. And I get asked consistently, a few times every week, by residents about what's going to happen in the summer of 2017 with free entry to all national parks, including Banff. I'm very concerned. And she goes on to say that the offer that was made by this government of the free entry is a nice idea, and it certainly is. but added that there was really seems to be no thought that was given to the real logistics of managing the increased traffic, particularly for the popular parks like Banff and Jasper. And so she went on to say, when this was announced, I guess I assumed that Parks Canada would be working with us on how to manage the consequences of this, and I was assuming that would happen very quickly. Well, here we are, nearly the end of November, and still have a real concern about what those plans are going to be for next year. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about some of the solutions that are being offered. I know there isn't a lot of time left, Madam Speaker. And I wanted to talk about the group I mentioned earlier, Association for Mountain Parks Protection and Enjoyment. Now, they are a group that advocates for what really is the mandate of Parks Canada, to ensure that that balance is found, the balance I talked about earlier, Madam Speaker. And so they want to ensure that there's ecological integrity, but it's there for visitor experience and for those of the current and future generations, and that we can provide that quality tourism experience. And so when they talk about solutions, I think it's a group that needs to be listened to, Madam Speaker. And they talk about some of the issues that are facing them right now, and offer these as following solutions. They believe there's a need for things like mass transit solutions that are in line with their environmentally responsible visitor experience. They're talking about bicycle trails to reduce vehicles and to provide environmentally friendly access. They're talking about ensuring sustainable development to engage guests with an enhanced visitor experience. New opportunities to connect new Canadians with limited mobility, those with limited mobility, pardon me. And so those are the kinds of solutions that are being asked for. And what we're hearing instead is a government that says, well, we're going to limit all development. We're going to put this one pillar as the only consideration. And that, unfortunately, what that does is it creates a situation where those who are wanting to come and visit and experience, there's solutions being put out there. And we're just not hearing anything back. We're not hearing any take-up. We're not hearing any concern about trying to provide those kinds of solutions and those kinds of opportunities. And when you don't offer solutions or opportunities, then you have a situation where we're at a capacity for vehicle traffic, and then you come into the kinds of problems that are difficult to solve without some help and some cooperation from this government and from Parks Canada. And I know that I've had great interactions with Parks Canada at both at their CEO level, but also at the local level with our local superintendent and others. And they, I believe, are eager to try to work with the tourism industry. And so what this government needs to do is have that political will to be able to push those solutions forward so that we can continue to best serve the guests that we have, the 4 million guests, and likely, far more next year with the free parks passes. But without the ability to be able to deal with some of the new solutions that are needed to ensure proper vehicle access, we will actually have a really difficult time in order to best provide that experience for visitors. And as I said, I have great faith in the people and tourism operators of Banff. I know they will do that, but it would certainly be good if this government would come to the table and try and help to ensure better opportunities in those regards. Thanks, Madam Speaker.